Straight ahead on CCX News.
They're happy, very happy that there's something like this in Brooklyn Park.
A look at locally owned restaurants in Brooklyn Park. Plus,
we look out for each other, we help each other when needed.
A church in Osseo celebrates 150 years of serving their neighbors and each other. But first, the journey to bring light rail transit to the Northwest Metro hits another setback. CCX News starts right now. Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us. There's another obstacle to overcome for the proposed Bottineau light rail line in the northwest suburbs. The BNSF Railway does not want to give its land away for the project. So what happens next? Here's Eric Nelson.
Shannon, this is potentially a major snag for the future of light rail here in the northwest burbs. The Met Council has now delayed the opening until 2024, which is 2 years later than they hoped. The reason for this is because the BNSF does not want to be involved in the project.
We're stuck. We've been trying to engage BNSF for years now, planning for that corridor, for the Bottineau corridor. It's a 100-foot wide corridor, as many people who live up in those suburbs know, so there's plenty of room for up to 4 tracks in there. There's one now. You know, the public will pay to move their freight tracks. We're never going to compete with their ability to do freight rail.
If things can't be resolved with BNSF, some are wondering if this will derail light rail. However, Hennepin County Commissioner Mike Opat says things can be figured out, and that the Blue Line project is willing to meet all of BNSF's demands. But for this to happen, the feds will need to jump in. Opat is disappointed in BNSF's decision, calling it not logical. The project has a whopping price tag of $1.5 billion. Opat believes it makes sense for both parties to team up.
This would be just sharing the space with separate tracks and separate operations, wouldn't inhibit freight, and as people know, it's a very lightly used corridor. 1 train a day, 5 to 7 cars, maybe if that, nothing on the weekend, so it's not this busy commercial freight corridor that's going on there.
The Met Council's original plan was to acquire land from BNSF to run the tracks through Brooklyn Park, Crystal, Robbinsdale, and Golden Valley. Now, however, the project is in limbo. In Robbinsdale, I'm Eric Nelson, CCX News.
All right, thank you, Eric. In other news, Brooklyn Park police are on the lookout for a pair of armed robbers. The incident happened Sunday morning at around 11:30 at a business in the 7600 block of West Broadway Avenue. Brooklyn Park police say that 2 armed robbers entered the store, forced the employees into a back room, and locked them inside. The robbers then took cash and other items before leaving. Victims and witnesses provided investigators with a description of the robbers and their vehicle, but police could not locate them. The subject of race or ethnicity can sometimes be a difficult conversation to have, but it's one we should talk about. CCX News is kicking off a week-long series called A Dialogue on Diversity. Reporter Sonia Goins joins us now with more. Sonia?
Shannon, I spent over a month asking people in the Northwest Metro what diversity means to them. Their replies were as different as the people responding to the question.
I think it just means a lot of different people from different walks of life.
It's not about skin, it's about the mind. If the mind's not diverse, we can't be diverse.
Melanin of skin, height, eye color, hair length, whatever it is really less important than diversity of ideas and experiences.
Other races, other cultures.
People of color, mostly, that kind of thing. My neighbor is black.
The mythical norm is, the straight Protestant white guy. Like, this is what we think American is. And the minute we think outside of that, then that's diversity.
The Northwest Metro is a mosaic tapestry of cultures. From Plymouth, where there's a large Indian and Russian population, to Brooklyn Park, where Liberian, Nigerian, and Hmong demographics continue to grow. The mayor of Brooklyn Park says the city has several initiatives aimed at diversity and inclusion. He also says it's exciting to see different people calling Brooklyn Park home.
Our diversity is diverse. So people tend to think of diversity, oh, it's this or that. But if you get beyond the skin color and you go into where people are from, you find out there are people, Central Africans are different than West Africans, and they will tell you they're different. There's a whole more layers than just what people look at.
Over the next several days, we'll show you how diversity, race, and ethnicity play a role in self-preservation, relationships, and education. Local governments will also tell us what they're doing to foster an environment where diversity and inclusion are the norm. Shannon?
Thank you, Sonia. That series begins on Tuesday. When the members of St. Paul's Lutheran Church in Osseo met for the first time, they met in people's homes. Now they are celebrating a 150-year anniversary. Photojournalist Neil Persley was at the event.
The church was started over 150 years ago, and it started out in people's homes, and then they started church, and then officially it was this last December 31st, was then once the church celebrated its 150th year of being in the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod.
It was a beautiful Sunday morning on which St. Paul's Lutheran Church commemorated their 150th anniversary. The building the congregation is in now was dedicated in 1959.
When this was built, my uncle, Byron Kilmer, owned the property and sold it, of course, to the church. My confirmation class in the other church was, I believe, the last one.
Following the service, congregants shared remembrances in the church basement. Earl Slack put 150 years in perspective.
Victoria was Queen of the United Kingdom. The United States was only 91 years old. The state of Minnesota was 9 years old. And it was a German-speaking church up until about 1925. All of our records are in German up until then.
Buildings aside, it's the people that make St. Paul's Lutheran in Osseo special.
It's a very lovely congregation. It's always been full of very strong personalities, which is not unusual for Lutherans. People really dedicated to Christ, love the gospel, and are willing to serve.
But they keep that, too, in perspective.
That he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. It's not about me. As wonderful as you are, it's not about you. It is God that began this work, and it is God that will carry it through.
In Osseo, Neil Persley, CCX News.
In New Hope, 8 churches and organizations gathered on Saturday for a day of service. Volunteers packed almost 4,000 food bags, which translates to almost 16,000 meals. The bags will go to students at Forest, Lakeview, and Meadow Lake Elementary Schools to help combat hunger. Still ahead, a closer look at Brooklyn Park's changing restaurant landscape. Plus, the Cooper football team aims for a little revenge against the team that ended their season last fall. That story later in sports. But first, it's not quite fall yet. For the last week of summer, we will see temperatures reaching the 80s. A common complaint told to Brooklyn Park City Council members: there's not enough locally owned sit-down restaurants. But that notion is changing, and new restaurants have opened with choices to match the diversity of the city. Here's producer Corey Bork.
Well, I always had a vision, like a dream, of having my own business. 2352.
Inside a former KFC in Brooklyn Park, there's a new restaurant that started with a leap of faith.
I've never been happier working 14, 15-hour days.
A leap that has been met with positive response.
They're happy, very happy that there's something like this in Brooklyn Park.
Lynn Wen followed in her family's footsteps.
My whole family, they're all cooks.
She quit her job working as a business analyst in downtown Minneapolis to open Mi Sant Banh Mi Company with her sister and brother-in-law.
We chose Brooklyn Park because we see that it's a growing place, has a great variety of the demographics here.
The restaurant offers fresh pastries and coffee and puts a Vietnamese spin on sandwiches.
Banh mi in Vietnamese means sandwich, and we make everything fresh to order, and then we have a variety of 7 to 9 different types of meats that you can pick from.
It's one example of a growing number of restaurants that attracts customers to Brooklyn Park.
It's great that it is such a diverse community, and you see a lot of people throughout the community opening up these great restaurants and kind of bringing their own flavor, which I think is really exciting.
Natalie Conrad with Minneapolis Northwest Tourism says there's a lot of restaurants that fly under the radar too, such as Lemongrass Thai.
Some of the best Thai cuisine you can get in the Twin Cities right here in Brooklyn Park.
Another is Crazy Cajun.
It's probably some of the most authentic Cajun cuisine you can get in the Twin Cities. It's actually a really popular spot for some of the Minnesota Vikings.
If you're a food truck fan, it's not just Minneapolis that has them. Here in Brooklyn Park there are several, like Gaddy's, which offers authentic Mexican.
Back at Mi Sant, for Lynn Wen, owning her own restaurant is a dream come true, and she's excited others are giving it a taste.
We're very passionate about what we do. I think we have great food, and I just want people to experience it and enjoy it.
For Business Matters, Corey Bork, CCX News.
And for a list of all of the sit-down restaurants in Brooklyn Park, the city has put together a map, and we'll put a link to it on our website, ccxmedia.org. Osseo was an exciting place to be this last weekend. We'll show you why coming up. But first, a great back-and-forth battle between Wayzata and Minnetonka in prep football. John Jacobson is in next.
I'm John Jacobson with sports. Last season, the Cooper football team was unbeaten in the regular season before getting upset by St. Louis Park in the Section 5-5A final. The Hawks looked for revenge when they visited the Orioles. First quarter of this game, Cooper quarterback Trayshawn McMillan fakes the handoff, takes it himself, and gets to the end zone for a 12-yard touchdown to get the Hawks on the board. Naz Borden has a big night for the Hawks. He gets loose here on a 52-yard run, bringing Cooper to inside the Orioles' 30-yard line. And then Borden caps off the drive with a 1-yard touchdown run, and it makes it 15-0 Cooper. A minute to play in the first half. The Hawks hit on a big play. McMillan connects with Adrian Adams. He breaks a tackle and fights his way to the 18-yard line. And then Borden does his thing again. He'll score on a 12-yard touchdown run, and Cooper leads 22-0. Cooper goes on and wins big in this one over St. Louis Park. Final score, Hawks 42, the Orioles 14. At Armstrong, it was home opener for the Falcons on their new turf as they hosted Spring Lake Park. First quarter, Brian Orwellino Lopez takes the handoff. He'll go in for a touchdown for the Panthers. 25 yards on the score. It's 7-0 Spring Lake Park. Armstrong comes back. Jake Breitbach, a nice throw here. A touchdown pass to Tyler Eberson. Point after fails. It's 7-6 Panthers after a quarter. The Falcons take the lead in the second, though. Leandra Gates breaks a tackle at the line of scrimmage, and he scores in a 2-yard touchdown run. Falcons are fired up, and they are ahead in this one, 13-7. The Panthers will come right back with a scoring drive of their own. Zach Dunbar pitches out to Derek Bergman. He makes a couple of guys miss. They have some good blocking, and he's off to the end zone. A 31-yard touchdown run for Bergman. Spring Lake Park leads 14-13. After an Armstrong fumble, Bergman picks up his second touchdown of the quarter, going in from 5 yards out. And Park, after going for 2, leads the game 22-13. The Falcons offense on the move again. Breitbach on a keeper, goes in from 5 yards out. Armstrong also makes a 2-point conversion, but after 43 points are scored in the first half, neither team scores in the second. Spring Lake Park wins it over Armstrong 22-21. For the 71st time in history, Wayzata and Minnetonka met in football for the annual Battle for the Bay Bell. This one, a good one at Minnetonka's Einar Anderson Stadium. First drive of the game, the handoff goes to Christian Vassar. He takes it up the middle to score on a 5-yard touchdown. The extra point is missed. Wayzata would miss all their conversions in the game, but the Trojans led 6-0. Down 6-3 early in the second quarter. Tonka's Tamar Hopkins off to the races here and goes 65 yards for a touchdown. Minnetonka takes a 10-6 lead. Wayzata answers. The handoff goes to Alec Underhill, and he'll pull up and throw to a wide-open Nicholas Cowrup for a 15-yard touchdown pass. Trojans lead at 12-10 at halftime. Third quarter, Wayzata down 13-12 when quarterback Keaton Heidi throws to Cowrup. It's a 26-yard touchdown for the senior tight end. One of 7 lead changes in the game, the Trojans ahead 18-13. Fourth quarter, Wayzata trailing again when running back Bennett Fragomeni gets in from a yard out. Trojans are up 24-20 with 3:55 to play. Minnetonka, though, gets the final points on a big pass play. Aaron Severson throws deep to Braden Fisk, who gets behind the Wayzata defense. It's a 52-yard touchdown, and Minnetonka beats Wayzata 27-24. The Brooklyn Center football team lost a close game to Minneapolis Edison in their opener. John Licciardi Centaurs facing St. Agnes in the high-scoring contest in Week 2. Brooklyn Center grabs the lead early. Isaiah Spivey to Jarrett Eggert. Nice touchdown play. Lost his helmet, still gets the grab. 7-0 Centaurs. Later in the first quarter, Spivey to Roland Russ. He makes a nice grab in traffic and scores. Brooklyn Center goes up 14-0 after the first quarter. Second quarter, though, was mostly Aggies. After a good kick return gives them good field position, St. Agnes quarterback Quinn Walsh runs it in on the bootleg and cuts into BC lead at 14-7. After they tie it, St. Agnes goes ahead. Terrell Jones takes the pitch, gets some good blocks, and then outruns the defenders. It's a 40-yard touchdown, and the Aggies lead at 21-14. They score 28 points in a row in the second quarter. They go on to defeat Brooklyn Center 48-29 is the final. That's all for sports. Shannon, back to you.
All right. Thank you, John. The Osseo School Board will be tackling big issues in the upcoming months, from hiring a new superintendent to making inroads on bridging an achievement gap. Today in Local Vote 2018, we hear from two candidates who would like to serve on the Osseo School Board, Bridget Alexander and Kelsey Dawson-Walton.
Hello, my name is Bridget Alexander, and I'm hoping to earn your vote for the District 279 School Board. Now is a crucial time for our schools as we look to hire a superintendent that represents our values as a community, face an achievement gap that is unacceptable to our beautifully rich and diverse student population, and look towards the future in our schools by exploring technology and programs to sharpen our children for their future. As a passionate mother of two, proud Brooklyn Center resident, and advocate for all students, I am running for school board to provide a new perspective to the board in order to ensure all children in our district are being advocated for equally. Please look to my Facebook page, Bridget for 279, for more information about my values. And vote for me, Bridget Alexander, on November 6th. Thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Kelsey Dawson-Walton, and I'm excited to be running for a seat on the Osseo Area School Board. My adolescence was spent in Brooklyn Park, and now my husband and I are raising our family in Maple Grove. We have 4 children who will all attend Osseo area schools. I work at Hennepin County, leading county-wide strategic engagement. I'm running for the Osseo School Board because our district is at a critical crossroads. Our community needs to be better connected. We are extremely diverse, and it's time we come together. But most importantly, I'm running for our children, to make sure each and every student should have equitable access and opportunity to a top-notch educational experience. I believe that I have the skills that can build the bridges required to set our district on a sustainable path to excellence. I would appreciate your support on November 6th.
Up next, what you may have missed at the Osseo Lions Roar Parade. We'll be right back. Saturday was a great day for a parade, and we have a few winners to announce. These 2 lucky families are the picks from Saturday's Lions Roar Parade. Thanks to everyone this parade season who snapped a picture on their smartphone and emailed it to us to use in our live parade coverage. Once again, the 42nd annual Osseo Lions Roar Parade had splendid weather for Saturday's festivities. It's hard to beat the Osseo Parade. If you missed it, we'll give you a quick glimpse of what it was like. Enjoy. We'll see you again Tuesday starting at 4.